Hey folks, Eric Bray, Focus Fishing Guide Service. Got another video fishing report for you for Table Rock Lake. It is Tuesday, February the 7th, and it's like 70 degrees. First week of February. Okay. And as far as our current lake level, we are at 906.9, which puts us a little bit over 8 feet down. Don't see it coming up any. We were supposed to get some rain last night, but it really didn't rain much. Got a little bit of chance of rain this weekend, but unless we get some rain, the lake's going to be down for a while. Water temperature really hasn't changed that much. Kind of a roller coaster ride with the weather last week. We get up into the 60s, down in the 30s, up in the 60s, down in the 30s. So it's really kind of kept that water temperature the same. We're around 47, 48 pretty much all over the lake. Was up Long Creek over the weekend, way up into Arkansas. Did see some 50, just over 50 degree weather or water in the afternoon. Was up to Kings today. Didn't go all the way to Arkansas. Went up a ways though. Went up above Viola. Still 47, 48 up there. So not warming up in a hurry. I think we get a few more days like this. It really seems like we've almost turned the corner on winter. Probably just jinxed us, but not a lot of cold weather coming in. I think our coldest day this week is going to be in the 40s, and then next week looks about the same. So really doesn't look like we're going to have a big influx of cold weather, so we should start to see this water temperature warm, and it should really move those fish shallow and make them commit to staying shallow. As far as the fishing is concerned, if you're coming down, say you're going to fish the dam area, still got the same 3 bites working that were working last week. Still catching quite a few fish deep. Mostly on either a scuba spoon, Rapala jigging wrap, or a drop shot with a shad shape, or a dream shot. Seems like most of those fish are still holding towards the guts of the creeks. Not seeing a whole lot of them out on points yet or out on flats yet. Most of them over 55 to 75, even 80 foot of water. Hanging pretty tight to the trees. Fish deep yesterday in a couple of creeks down by the dam. And with that cloud cover and the wind we had yesterday, it did get them stirred up, and they were coming up out of the trees a lot better. But on calm days, they're going to be holding real tight to the trees, usually around that 35 to 55 range. Same area same depths we normally catch them at this time of year. I got a decent stickbait bite down there as well. Seems like those fish are on flatter points with some big rock in it, kind of some ledgy flat points, even gravel with big rock mixed into it. Keep the boat in about 20 to 22 feet deep and cast towards the bank and let that stick bait sit, either the Mega Bass Vision 110 or the Spro Mix stick. Both of them been doing well. But let that bait sit for 5 to 10 seconds. If you've got wind, that's a much better bite. If it's calm and flat and or the wind's not hitting directly under the point, don't seem to catch as many right now. It seems like we'll get wind, especially a good 10-15 mile an hour wind blowing up on a flat point, and you'll have several fish, especially smallmouth, will move up onto those flats and on those flat points with a little bit of rock mixed into them. And we are catching a few on a wiggle water rock crawler down there as well. Caught actually quite a few yesterday. It was pretty windy yesterday. We had about a 15 to 20 mile an hour wind with some heavier gusts, and we caught a few on a rock crawler and a few on a wiggle wart, most of them on 45 degree chunk rock banks, same sort of stuff we fish year round or this time of year when we're chasing those crankbait fish, and caught a few of them on the transition areas where it go from bigger rock to smaller rock. Again, keeping the boat in about 10 foot of water, 10 to 12, more or less parallel in the bank, pulling it down, and where it hits a drop is usually when you're getting bit on the crankbait. If you go up into the Kimberling City area, same bites are working there, but you can add a jig to the mix. Did well deep. A lot of fish on a scuba spoon, a lot of fish on a Rapala jig and wrap. Drop shotting with either the shad shape, dream shot, or even some on a finesse worm. Same sort of deal. It seems like those deep fish are really holding pretty tight to the tree line in the guts of the creeks. Overall depth anywhere from 50 to 75 foot deep. Trees topping out 35 to 50. Did catch a few on some of the long gravel runouts on the main lake last week, but those fish really seem to be scattered. We stopped. We were actually throwing a stick bait across the flat point. Wind kind of pushed us off while we were netting a fish, and I looked down in about 40 foot of water, and there was a couple on the bottom. We caught 2 or 3, but they were really kind of scattered. So if you're going to fish deep, your better bite's going to be in the guts of the creeks. Have been catching them on a stick bait. Again, windy points, flatter points with some rock mixed into them or ledge mixed into them. Works best when you've got wind blowing directly onto the point. Really catching a lot more fish when you've got a good breeze, 10 to 15 mile an hour breeze blowing up onto the point, kind of blowing the shad and everything else. And again, most of those fish have been smallmouth and Kentuckies. We have caught a few largemouth doing that, but it's mostly been smallmouth and a few Kentuckies. Wigglewort, rock crawler working in the Kimberling City area as well. Same sort of deal, 45-degree chunk rock. Wind helps. If you don't have wind, the bite really slows down. If you've got wind, especially wind blowing directly onto the bank, on those transition areas, you'll catch a lot more fish on those. Again, the fish are anywhere from about 6 to 10 feet deep when the wind's blowing. Keep the boat in about 10 foot and parallel the bank. And then a jig bite. We have been catching them on a pro spider jig a little bit, especially around any wood cover or around some of the bigger rock cover. A lot of the times when we go to fish a wigglewort or a rock crawler and we don't have any wind, fish those same banks, those same rocky chunk rock banks, back the boat out a little bit more, put the boat in about 20, and you'll catch some fish on either a pro spider jig, smaller football jig, the finesse football jig, or the Magnum casting jig. All those have been working, same colors as usual, Okeechobee blue, green pumpkin candy, peanut butter and jelly, matched up with either a J-tail or a speed crawl. Those have been the best two trailers. Some on the finesse crawl, but it really seems like that speed crawl has been working really good. Go up into the James, and the James still has a really, really strong stick bait bite. Coldest water still on the James, and still haven't made it up above Cape Fair. Don't know that I will anytime soon, but from about Ants Creek up to about Campers Point, been doing pretty well. Main Lake points with a stick bait. Flatter points again have been better. Flat points with bigger rock mixed into them, gravel, big rock, or ledge rock type sort of stuff. But the wind is really key. It pushes the bait up, pushes the fish up. You want to have a windy point to throw a stick bait up there right now. Isolated timber doesn't hurt. Have been catching a few around some isolated trees off the sides of the points, but most of those fish are coming on points with the amount of water they've been drawing through the lake. Crankbait bite's good, same sort of banks, 45-degree chunk rock. Rock that breaks down from kind of transition areas from big rock to small rock has been really good. Wigglewort, rock crawler, that sort of thing. Have talked to a few guys who have been catching them towards the backs of the creeks on the last rock on a square bill, but I haven't done it, so I can't guarantee that's going to work. And then the jig bite's been strong up there too. Anywhere you've got wood, there are fish on jigs. There are fish that have moved up shallow. I mean, the water's 48, 49 degrees. So don't feel like you've got to go out and fish deep. There are definitely some fish up shallow. The deep bite tends to be a little bit more consistent. You'll get more bites, but it seems like you'll get some better quality if you go up shallow and fish around brush piles or laydowns and that sort of thing, or with a stick bait if you've got wind, or crankbait if you've got wind. It seems like those fish have moved shallow. I don't know that they've committed yet. Get the water over 50 degrees and we'll definitely have them committed up there shallow. And then up the White River where I am today, I'm at Shell Knob right now. We went out and just kind of played around a little bit, ran up the Kings. Crankbait bite was pretty good today. Had a few on a crankbait. Same sort of banks, 45-degree chunk rock. Transition areas like the ends of channel swings were good. Catching them around a little bit of timber. I mean, you can't go up the Kings without seeing timber and laydowns, but rock crawler, wigglewort, those sort of baits, less than 10 feet deep, basically keeping the boat in 10 foot of water and paralleling the bank, catching a lot of fish doing that. Jig bite was strong up the Kings today. A lot of fish around laydowns, a lot of fish around stumps and whatnot. Still on those rocky banks. Did really well on those rocky banks. Seemed to be where most of the fish were. Out here on the main lake up the White, there is a good deep bite, and you can catch them on a crankbait as well, stick bait as well up there too. But a good deep bite, same sort of deal. Deep trees, guts of creeks, overall depth 50 to 80 feet deep. Most of the trees top out from about 35 to 55. And scuba spoon, jigging wrap, drop shot, those are all working up here. Stick bait's working up here as well. Again, flat points are better, especially flat points with some big rock mixed into it. You do really well doing that. And crankbait's working well on the main lake too, out here on the White River. Same sort of banks, 45-degree chunk rock, transition areas. That's where we're catching most of the fish on a crankbait right now. Well, like I said, it is the first week of February, and it's 70 degrees today. It was 70 degrees yesterday. It was 70 degrees on Sunday. Supposed to be 50 tomorrow, but back in the 70s by the weekend. So the weather is freaking awesome. It's been great. And we're catching fish. Had a real good day yesterday. Did pretty decent today. Just kind of went out messing around, sort of checking some areas I hadn't been in a while. Didn't have a trip today, but caught some fish up there on a crankbait, like I said. Caught some fish on a jig, had some fish on a stick bait. So fish are biting. We're catching some fish. If you guys are thinking about coming down, remember we are running winter rates all the way through the end of February, so you got a couple more weeks to take advantage of that. Maybe you got a derby coming up, you want to get a pre-fishing trip in, great idea. Pretty well booked up next week, so if you got a derby the following week, or if you go off limits the following week, we're going to be hosed there. Actually, the next 2 weeks I'm pretty solid, but great idea if you guys want to come down and do a little pre-fishing. Maybe you want to learn how to throw stick bait. Maybe you want to learn how to fish deep. Both those are working right now, so it's a great idea to book a trip and do that. If you guys are thinking about it, give me a call. It's Focus Fishing Guide Service. You can reach me at 417-860-4743. Hit my website, focusfishing.com. You can either book online right there, use the book online button, or shoot me an email. We'll figure out dates and times and everything else. If you guys do book online, we get back to you within 12 hours to let you know if the date you want is available. Usually if you check the calendar, the date will be available. But guys, I really appreciate you guys watching the videos. I thank you guys for subscribing. We're up over 1,500 subscribers now, which is awesome. But thanks for watching. Can't wait to hear from you. We'll see you on the water.